The last time I was in Charleston, I went to the Magnolia Cemetery, which is where all of the soldiers, everybody who died in the Hunley, in the h.l.hunley, the submarine, are buried. And that's a fascinating story about they didn't find it for like over 100 years after it sank the USS Housatonic. So I know that the Hunley is preserved in this tank here. The sun is super bright, so excuse my squinting. But it's only open, I think, on the weekends. So I wasn't here last time on the weekend, but I'm here now on the weekend. So I'm going to go inside and show you the Hunley. This is an interesting replica. I believe it's of what they thought the Hunley looked like before they found it. Because there was a person that was just talking here, and he was saying that, imagine you were describing a car, but you couldn't say it was a car. You could describe your car, and you'd say, well, it has 4 wheels, and it has doors, and you wouldn't really be able to describe it if it looked like a SUV or a Corvette. So this is what they built based on whatever records they may have had. Oh, it's 10% larger than the actual submarine. That's wild. And turn? No, but you would have sat here and turned these like that. That is crazy. Can you imagine being underwater in this capsule? There's a third crew. It's a little discombobulated the way they do this museum. Like, they talk about the first and second crew all the way over there, and now this is the third crew. Although the Hunley had claimed 13 lives and 2 sinkings, many still believed in her potential. One of those men was Lieutenant George Dixon. At his urging, General Beauregard allowed Dixon to rehabilitate the submarine and raise another crew. And this is 8:45 p.m., February 17th, 1864, when they successfully sunk the USS Housatonic. Crazy. Several sailors on the deck of the Housatonic reported seeing something on the water just a few hundred feet away. The officer on the deck thought it might be a porpoise coming up to blow. As the object approached the ship, the crew realized it was no porpoise. The alarm sounded and the sailors fired their guns, the bullets pinging off of the metal hull of the Hunley. Below the surface, the submarine rammed her long metal spar into the Housatonic, igniting an approximate 135-pound torpedo in the sloop's side. It sank in less than 5 minutes, and the sloop lost 5 of its 160 crewmen. And it talks about the blue light. Nearly 45 minutes later, a Union soldier claimed he saw a blue light on the water. Some speculate that was the last reported sighting of the Hunley for more than a century. Wow. Jeez. And even crazier is it's by candlelight. You know, that's all I had. It's just candlelight. And a pot to piss in. At least they had that. This tells you how the size of the Hunley and the Housatonic. This is a great illustration of the size difference between the USS Housatonic and the Hunley. Look at that. So this was the torpedo. That is wild. So one of the theories is that once the Hunley was spotted by the Housatonic, that they were firing down at it and the bullets were pinging off of it. But there's a theory that possibly one of the shots struck Lieutenant Dixon. This plaque here says the only viewport missing on the vessel is one from the forward conning tower where Dixon was stationed. Scientists on the project have confirmed this damage occurred early, possibly even on the night of the mission. However, Lieutenant Dixon's remains give no indication of a gunshot wound. It is possible that the shot only impacted soft tissue, but no bullet has been found on the submarine. The Hunley became the world's first successful combat submarine when it sank the USS Housatonic. Once the torpedo had detonated on the Housatonic, the submarine signaled to the shore that she had completed her mission and was on the way home. Confederates on shore lit a fire to help guide the submarine back to land, but instead the Hunley disappeared into the sea. Some say it could have been trapped by the tides. To make the trip easier, the crew may have dropped the Hunley to the sea floor to wait for the tide to change to avoid being pulled out further to sea. It's possible that the crew misjudged their oxygen supply. I mean, you figure there's 8 people in there and they're all spinning that thing, breathing and breathing, breathing. Could have run out of oxygen. One of the most popular theories is the Hunley was simply too close to the Housatonic when the torpedo detonated. That's what I think too. The resulting damage could have allowed water to come rushing in and drowning the crew, or caused them some sort of other physical harm, such as a concussion. I think that's probably the most logical idea of what happened, that they were simply too close. That concussion of that explosion probably could have possibly knocked a lot of them out, making the vessel unable to move, because you needed all those men to sit there and spin that thing to get it to go. And I think that's what I'm guessing. That makes the most sense to me. So this is P.T. Barnum. He had offered $100,000 to anybody who could locate the Hunley. It says for over a century, the treasure seekers and explorers who searched Charleston Harbor all came back empty-handed. All right, so 1995, May 3rd, the Hunley is discovered. And then August 8th, raising the Hunley. Look at all the boats. And there it is. Crazy. April 17th, 2004, burial of the Hunley's final crew. And that's where I've been. Gives you an idea, or tells you it was 30 feet below. It's crazy to think that it was only in 30 feet of water and they couldn't find it for that long. You are standing 30 feet below the ceiling in this building, simulating how far the Hunley was found below the surface. So there you go. It doesn't probably do it much justice. 30 feet, 25 feet, 20 feet, it goes all the way. So, yeah, but not that deep. Saving the Hunley's artifacts. Wow. A wrench, a hammer, different bolts, look all cleaned up. Bottle. The pocket watch. The ring. Wow. Amazing condition. According to legend, a young woman gave Captain George Dixon a $20 gold coin when he left for war in 1861. During the Battle of Shiloh, Dixon was shot. The bullet struck the coin in his trousers pocket, absorbing the impact of the shot and sparing his life. For 137 years, no one knew whether the story was a historical fact or a romantic tale passed from generation to generation. And it says, a legend becomes a reality. During excavation of the Hunley, a gold coin was discovered lying on Dixon's hip bone. It was warped from the impact of a bullet. Traces of lead were discovered on the coin. Wow, that's crazy. So it was true. Imagine what it looked like when they finally got inside the Hunley. And it was just a bunch of skeletal remains.
This glass viewing window in front of you serves as a protective screen from the conservation chemicals. While the Hunley soaks in this bath, hundreds of artifacts that were excavated from inside are being conserved. This unique collection includes military buttons, a gold pocket watch, a compass, and Union ID tag worn around the neck of one of the crewmen. Why the crew vanished remains a mystery, and scientists are still discovering clues we hope will one day tell us why the Hunley disappeared. There are several pieces of physical evidence visible to you that have raised as many questions as they have answers. Such as these conning towers. The rear hatch was found still sealed and locked shut. If water was rushing in, the survival instinct would no doubt kick in, leading to at least some of the crew frantically trying to escape, even if they knew they couldn't open the hatch due to water pressure. However, the forward hatch was discovered closed but not locked. Scientists think it is likely that Captain Dixon left it unlocked to peer out while navigating on the surface, or so he could quickly replenish air into the crew compartment by opening it. In addition, on the forward conning tower, you can see that one viewport is completely missing, and in its place is a grapefruit-sized hole. Over the years, there have been no shortage of theories to explain the sub's demise. Some speculate the explosion that sank the Housatonic also damaged the Hunley, making it impossible for her to return home. Another theory is that the crew intentionally submerged to sit on the ocean floor while waiting for a safe opportunity to return to shore. There, they either just ran out of air or possibly got stuck, unable to rise to the surface again. Another theory is that the massive wake of the large Union ships that rushed to the scene to help the survivors of the Housatonic could have sent the small submarine tumbling down. What actually happened to prevent the crew from returning that night may never be known. On that night, as chaos erupted at sea level as the Housatonic sank, 8 brave crewmen sat in the cramped hull of the Hunley, dimly illuminated by only a single candle. Those men took their last breath, perhaps as the flame of the candle flickered out